Hello, this is Echo Harte. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Dylan.
So I suppose just to kind of get the ball rolling, for anyone that hasn't heard it before, can you give us a bit of a background as to what your music is like and how you got started?
Well, this album is called Masks, the last album that I brought out on Spotify, and I have to just clarify that I came up with the title of this album back when we started recording it in 2016, myself and the producer down in Tuam. Now the title came from the style of the music. It's essentially it's a rock album, but it has collaborated with other genres of music. So there's like examples of there's country, there's the soft rock, there's psychedelic. That's where the title came from. So basically, each song is a different character. So that's where the title Masks came from. And I try to be a little different, a little diverse from one song to the next. You can certainly hear that on this album. I think it's as you listen to the album from start to finish, you can hear the diversity in the album. But that's what I go for when I record music. I've got new music coming out later on in the year, and that's certainly a lot different from the album. I've written 3 new songs, and they're currently in the works now, in the making. One is expected to be released at the start of, I want to say, November.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to be collaborating with some new artists from Galway. The
Very
reason
nice.
I want to do that is because I want to, take a new direction. I want the music to take a new direction. I want
Okay,
the
so I
sound completely
suppose
different.
sorry, finish what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I just wanted the music to take a completely new direction. Like this next song that we have coming out now, it's with one of my best friends. We've never actually played together before. There was one time I think it was in June, it started raining outside, and we just had a few cans and we just jammed with the guitars, and we ended up writing this new song, and we recorded it there just during the month, during September. The song is called Rain in June, and it sounds like I think we were very much inspired by Dope Lemon, Tame Impala, and Eagles. So it sounds like a mixture of all 3 of those things together with a bit of a twist. So I think that I'm really excited about bringing that out and seeing the public reaction to it. So yeah, that'll be exciting. I'm very much looking forward to that coming out.
So I suppose, you kind of describe yourself online as being kind of an alternative rock artist, but you kind of take inspiration from a lot of different genres. Would that be correct to say?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. No, rock is definitely uh, the genre that I was inspired by initially when I especially when I was younger. I mean, I think my favorite bands growing up were the Ramones and the Clash and the Rolling Stones, the Doors, U2. Um, they certainly had influence on the kind of music that I wanted to play. I started playing guitar when I was very young. I think Johnny Cash was definitely the first artist that made me want to pick up a guitar when I was 9 years old. Now I know he's not, he wouldn't be considered rock. There's definitely a lot of rock and roll in him, but he is considered his own kind of brand of country. But yeah, rock is definitely where is what I would describe myself as. Have Speaking of which, there's other collaborations coming up. I am doing a rock slash hip hop song as well after the next single that
Okay.
comes out. Yeah, that's going to be something that I've never done before, and it's not something that anybody would expect either. I don't want to say who I'm collaborating with either. It's just, I want to keep it all under wraps until
Keep it on the
it's
down low for the minute.
yeah, just for now. But yeah, no, I am inspired by other kinds of music as well. I like to be open-minded when it comes to discovering new music and
Yeah.
writing new music. I
And
don't
can you
want to
give
keep
us
putting it.
can you give us kind of examples of, other artists that have been an influence on you, like not necessarily from the rock genre? I know you mentioned Johnny Cash was the artist that inspired you to pick up a guitar, but is there any other kind of genres or any other particular artists that come to mind?
Yeah, I would say now that you mentioned it, if we were talking hip hop, I would say Kendrick Lamar, and obviously, well, there's Eminem as well. I mean, who hasn't been inspired by Eminem? There's also well, if we're talking, way outside the box now. I mean, there's a lot of classical music and soundtrack music that I've been inspired by as well.
Okay.
Like, Hans Zimmer and Bach, for example. I mean, I wouldn't spend all my time listening to them. It's very good for when you're, going to the gym. That kind of music does, uh, it does things to you. It's hard to describe. The only way you'd be able to fully understand what I'm talking about is if you actually do it. If you go to the gym, listen to some classical music, listen to some soundtrack music, the Dark Knight soundtrack or whatever. It's it is. It's and it does give me ideas for when I come home, or when I'm working on something new. I really like subtle ideas, subtle
Yeah.
little textures in the music to give it some atmosphere. It's less for me. Less is more. Um, so yeah, off the top of my head now, like just because
Yeah.
that's from recent times.
So can you
Uh,
give us kind of a
in the
background as to sorry, did I interrupt you there?
I was just going to mention Billie Eilish, but there we go. We can move on to the next question.
Okay, so we can kind of leave it there. So I suppose, like, can you give us a bit of background as to how we got started in the industry and how we got started recording, let's say, as you are now?
Yeah. I have been playing music since I was 9, pretty much. I think I joined my first band when I was 14. I answered an ad that was in a shopping centre in Galway. And you just kind of met people through doing those gigs, like at youth clubs and school halls, and started college in Dublin and did a year in college in Galway. You've met people, and my first band, well, my first or second band was in Tuam. Some schoolmates. We did a 3-piece original punk outfit. We called ourselves Blue Loves Milo. And the first gig we ever did was a competition in small town hall, Abbeynock and we did a sound check, and the guy who was doing the sound, his name is Mixer. Mike is his proper name. But during the sound check, he just said, "Play one of your own tunes there. Play one of your own." So we played one of our own tunes. He says, "Oh yeah, I'm just adjusting the levels here. Do another one of your own tunes." Did another one of our own tunes, and so he came up to me and asked, "Would you guys be interested in coming out to my studio? Have a studio out in out behind my mother's house?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." Now we didn't win the competition, but we met him, and I met him, and we were still friends. That's going back about, I want to say, nearly 10 years now at this stage, and everything that I've recorded and put out there professionally on Spotify has been recorded by him. And I was just in a studio there last Saturday, so I think that was definitely one of the first professional pushes forward I've ever had in the industry. Was through meeting him.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter that we didn't win that competition. It probably wasn't even a big competition anyway. But it was big for me because I got to meet Mixer, and I know that I'll be going to him for the next however many years as well.
Yeah.
I do trust his input and his advice and his guidance. So yeah, it was definitely one of the first pushes forward. And then there's the community here in Galway. It's a very small, tight community. At the moment anyway, I'm very active in the busker scene here in Galway. There's not much live music going on at the moment. There is a little bit, and it is keeping its head above the surface. There's the Galway Summer Garden happening now down in Salthill. The Roisin Dover bringing some live music back. It's social distancing at the moment, But before this whole pandemic, it was it was a very very tight community. There was open mics around the place, and we were all the people who regularly do the open mics. They have this there's a support for each other.
Yeah.
We all come to each other's gigs. If we put out a new single on Spotify, we all listen to it. We all share it with our friends. We, try to, we put it out there on social media. We're
Okay.
all, we're all very supportive, and it's, I guess that is one of the ways I got my foot into the industry that way too. Open mics is a good way to start, and busking, getting your name out there as well, is another way. Have a sign on your case with your Instagram handle.
Yeah.
Or your Spotify handle, or both if you can. I think Instagram and Spotify are the way to go now. I think Facebook, while it's still important, it's just not as it's not at the forefront anymore, I don't think.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned that your album, it was a few years in the making because you originally came up with the name in 2016. Can you give us a bit of a background as to what it was like recording the album? Was it a big undertaking, do you think?
I think so. It was originally. Now I went in with a band. This is the band that I was telling you about, the one that did the competition in Abinakmoy. We went in together. Now we didn't write all the songs together. There's one or two songs on that album that were the first songs that we'd written. I think The Jump may be one of them, and Sinking. There were two songs that we wrote together as a band, and it does have the essence of that band that we were in. However, the band didn't, it was unable to stay together. It was commitment issues and, cliche artistic differences. We all kind of went our own way, and we're all doing our own thing. Now we're all happy now, and we're all still talking with one another. But this album does feature the drummer on quite a few of the tracks. And it does feature, Jade Amber as well, the female vocalist that you hear throughout the album. She's on a couple of songs, but when the band did break up, it turned into a very different album. See, most of the songs were written with an acoustic guitar. Me in my bedroom, writing these songs on an acoustic guitar and bringing them into the studio, and then they became very different songs. I worked on each guitar part, each bass part individually. I put 100% effort into each of them before I went into the studio. And there was a lot of improv in the studio as well. It's not the ideal place to improvise, writing music, because, you're under the clock. You're under pressure. You're being paid by the hour. So it is I do not recommend it. If you're brave enough, go for it. But it's something that I'm very passionate about. It does you capture moments in the studio when you're recording.
Yeah.
And you can hear a lot of that on this album too. But I'm very happy with the way the album turned out. We had great musicians on the album. The guys in the band, I hope they do come to do some future projects as well. So it turned out to be exactly what I had envisioned. Each song different from the last. You can certainly hear that if you listen to the song Chaos, track number 3, and then it goes into Exile. Chaos is sort of I would describe it as a maybe Queens of Stone Age, Rage Against the Machine vibe, and then Exile just goes into a soft, somber, jazzy kind of James Taylor kind of vibe, and it's somber acoustic, and it's just completely two ends of the spectrum. But it turned out to be the album that I intended to make.
So I'm afraid we're almost out of time, but just before we finish up, can you give us kind of a brief outline as to what your plans are for the future and how COVID might have an impact on those plans?
Yeah, I mean, my plan this year was to go to America with the new album and try to score some gigs. Obviously, COVID did, stop that for a while. I think at the moment, all Well, I would recommend to to well, not just the musicians, but to anyone listening, is just to keep your heads down until and be, you know, socially responsible until this
Yeah.
all blows over, because there's not really much else we can do at the moment. Gigs aren't really happening right now. They sort of are, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really feel like it's worth the hassle at the moment. I feel like I'm doing all right now by keeping the social media presence. I'm writing music, I'm recording music here, I'm busking as well at the moment, but I'm only doing it up to a point, because since the last maybe week or so, it has gotten a bit more chaotic out on the streets, and
Yeah.
crowds start to gather because you are the only entertainment. So you know, I have to be socially responsible and have to cut it short sometimes, and but it does keep me going. It does keep me practicing. I do hope that we will be out of the woods soon, because I do want to start playing with my band again. We're called Vulture Casino. We have plans to do some gigs. We have written some new songs as well, and we're just aching to get back practicing. We lost our rehearsal room there a few weeks ago, because the rehearsal rooms have been forced to close because of, you know, COVID restrictions. It's just, yeah, there's just a real thirst for playing live gigs, but I think only time will tell as to when they will come back.
Okay, so we're just about out of time. Just before we go, if people are looking online, where can they find you?
I would like to direct people to my Spotify or my Instagram. Instagram is where I'm most active. I mean, I will be sharing Facebook, but Spotify and Instagram, my entire album
Okay.
and all my music is up there on Spotify, and that's where all my new music will be in the future as well.
Okay, so this has been Echo Harte. Thanks very much for joining us today, and
Thanks.
hopefully we'll hear a lot from you in the next few months or so.
Cheers, Dylan. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much. Bye now.